Krishna Kirtana Gana Nartana Paro Premamritambo Nidhi Dira Dira Jana Priyo Priyakaro Nirmatsa Krishna Kirtana Gana Nartana Paro Premamritam Bonedi Dira Dira Jana Priyo Priyakaro Chaitanya Kripa Bharo Bhuvo Bhava Antarako Vande Rupa Sanatano Raghuyuko Shri Jiva Gopalako Nana Shastra Vicharanai Kanipano Sadharma Samstapako Lokanamitakarano Tribhuvane Manyo Sharanyakaro Radha Krishna Padaravinda Bhajanan Mandena Matalago Vande Rupa Sanatano Raghuyugo Shri Jiva Gopalako Shri Gauranga Kunanuvarnana Vidao Sadam Samridhyan Vito Papo Tapanikrintano Tanubritam Govinda Gatnamritai Anandamburi Vardhanai Kanipano Kaivalya Nistarako Vande Rupa Sanatano Raghuyugo Shri Jiva Gopalako. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the six Goswamis, namely Sri Rupa Goswami, Sri Sanatan Goswami, Sri Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, Sri Raghunath Das Goswami, Sri Jiva Goswami, and Sri Gopal Bhatta Goswami, who are always engaged in chanting the holy name of Krishna and dancing. They are just like the ocean of love of God, and they are popular both with the gentle and with the ruffians, because they are not envious of anyone. Whatever they do, they are all pleasing to everyone, and they are fully blessed by Lord Chaitanya. Thus they are engaged in missionary activities meant to deliver all the conditioned souls in the material universe. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the six Goswamis, namely Sri Rupa Goswami, Sri Sanatan Goswami, Sri Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, Sri Jiva Goswami, and Sri Gopal Bhatta Goswami, who are very expert in scrutinizingly studying all the revealed scriptures with the aim of establishing eternal religious principles for the benefit of all human beings. Thus they are honored all over the three worlds and they are worth taking shelter of because they are absorbed in the mood of the gopis and are engaged in the transcendental loving service of Radha and Krishna. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the six Goswamis, namely Sri Rupa Goswami, Sri Sanatan Goswami, Sri Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, Sri Raghunath Das Goswami, Sri Jiva Goswami, and Sri Gopal Bhatta Goswami, who are very much enriched in understanding of Lord Chaitanya, and who are thus expert in narrating his transcendental qualities. They can purify all conditioned souls from the reactions of their sinful activities by pouring upon them transcendental songs about Govinda. As such, they are very expert in increasing the limits of the ocean of transcendental bliss, and they are the saviors of the living entities from the devouring mouth of liberation. Hare Krishna and Daneshwar Prabhu, obeisances to you. I'll give you that Ayendra site later. It's just a small handful of devotees. They each read a paragraph every day, and they record that, and then they make their purport after that, a minute or two long. That's their system. That's the group. Yeah.
Okay.
Nothing too fancy. Okay, so going to the Nectar of Instruction, Shri Upadeshamrita. We're on the fourth verse. I've always really liked this verse. It's up till now. It's hard to say which verse is, your favorite, but I don't know. I just always liked it because it's a verse which is relationship oriented. Would you like to read the Sanskrit for it?
Dadate priti grihnati guyam akyati prichati punkte bojayate chaiva sadvidam piti lakshanam. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, very good.
Okay. Translation: offering gifts in charity, accepting charitable gifts, revealing one's mind in confidence, inquiring confidentially. Accepting prasad and offering prasad are the 6 symptoms of love shared by one devotee and another. Report. In this verse, Srila Rupa Goswami explains how to perform devotional activities in the association of other devotees. There are 6 kinds of activities. 1, giving charity to the devotees. 2, accepting from the devotees whatever they may offer in return. 3, opening one's mind to the devotees. 4, inquiring from them about the confidential service of the Lord. 5, honoring prasad or spiritual food given by the devotees. And 6, feeding the devotees with prasad. An experienced devotee explains, and an inexperienced devotee learns from him. This is guhyam akyati prichati. When a devotee distributes prasad, remnants of the food offered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, in order to maintain our spirit of devotional service, we must accept this prasad as the Lord's grace received through the pure devotees. We should also invite pure devotees to our home, offer them prasad, and be prepared to please them in all respects. This is called Punkte Bojayate Chaiva.
Are you inspired to make a comment on that, Baneshwar Prabhu? Anything there stands out for you?
No, not right yet.
Okay. Welcome, Bhavatrini in your hurry.
Hare Krishna.
Nandapatni, and we have the esteemed Mahabodhi Das Pandit Maharaj with us tonight.
I just have some news.
Okay.
Jagadatri she got married and she's having a wedding and a fire sacrifice tomorrow at our house.
Jagadatri.
Jagadatri.
Our god sister.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Congratulations to her. And who is her spouse?
His name is Arnold. He's from South India, and his father was raised a priest at the Udupi temple.
Wow.
Could you fill us in with some history? Because the last I heard, she was seriously ill.
Yeah.
Right. Well, maybe 15, 20 years ago, he wanted to marry her, and she said she was too old for him and she wouldn't marry him. And he went and did his life. He was a pilot, an airplane pilot. He's an engineer anyway. So when he heard how much trouble she was having, he decided to come and make sure that her end of life is very auspicious. And he wants to take care of her and make sure that she is able to.
So she is not recovered from her illness then?
They don't know what she.
They don't know what she has, but she has to take oxygen part of the day every day, and she's very frail.
Well, that's a wonderful story then. That's a real love story.
That's a beautiful story.
Yes.
Mhm.
It shows his love is pure.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
Wonderful, because all Vaishnavas, they need this care at the end of their life. So,
Right.
yeah.
That's true.
beautiful. Prabhus, I have to be doing some work, so I won't be reading and I'll just be listening in the background. I love you all dearly.
Oh, thank you.
Me too.
Same here.
Okay.
Thank you for your association nonetheless. Nice to see your smiling face.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. Yeah, you're all very consistent.
I thought I had made so many offenses to everyone. That's why I was singing the bhajan all by myself. And I blew everybody away. They're all gone now.
No, Sura.
So,
We're going to have a fire sacrifice on our porch. So
Wow.
we were kind of wondering if we were going to be able to come to class, but we're here.
okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
We're getting ready for
vigorously
tomorrow.
working on it.
And Nanda Patni, if you ever feel inspired, if the super soul in the heart tells you you must say something, then please give us your little, the little hand wave in the corner, and we'll stop to hear your.
Oh gosh. Okay. No comment. All right. Thank you,
You
Gaura.
want to ask him
Yeah.
about where the prayers are for fire
Okay, so it's your turn, Hari and Bhavatrini. Why don't we read through the Patni?
Last time I was gonna find something for you, but I couldn't get hold of the
Bhargava?
Bhargava Prabhu.
He left a message.
We're
I
good
think.
friends, but I left him a message. He hasn't responded yet.
Okay.
But we do have another question. He's supposed to do the fire sacrifice tomorrow, and we don't know
I know most of the stuff.
we don't know where to find the mantras online or whatever.
Huh, yeah.
Guru Google.
I used to use the Hare Krishna handbook for,
Yeah,
I mean,
that was we used to have that. I
Yeah.
don't know where it is.
when I used to
We
do
haven't-
I used to do marriages for people, and I used that book. But now there's another book on samskaras.
Oh,
It goes into much greater depth. Maybe Mahabudhi Prabhu would know about that. Mahabudhi,
yeah.
you have a resource for performing marriages, Prabhu?
Yes, there's a whole Satkriya separate book that the Gaudiya Vaishnavas use. It's not digitized,
Oh,
so I mean, I have the books, and I have some of the mantras, but they're all on paper. So when you're doing the mantras, you can fold them, and they're protected by plastic and stuff. Otherwise, it's hard to can't really do a fire sacrifice and look at your cell phone or something. So
right.
Although I
and
see.
if you had more time, I'd just try to photograph some of the things, but I'd have. If you're doing it already, I don't know how good they would come out. And then you'd have to, But
Well,
there is a book. There's a book.
But we
I'll go and maybe I don't. Well, you're not gonna if you're doing it tomorrow. No, you're not gonna get any of this stuff in time.
Well, if
Okay.
you send him the the pictures of the mantras, we could print them out.
It's
And
about 20 pages, depending
Oh, yeah.
depending what kind of sacrifice you're going to do. There's,
he
they said
wants
they don't
simple.
want something elaborate or anything like that. So I was like,
I'd have to
too simple.
I'd have to go and look now and see if I've got anything
Satkriya,
that,
right?
Yeah,
I mean,
Mahabodhi Prabhu has at least 3 days of mantras for you to chant.
I'm sure.
problem. Anyway,
Yeah,
I'll
20
put
pages.
myself,
Oh, yeah.
I'll put myself on mute and then just go away from
We don't.
the class, and see if I can find the
Oh,
books
thank you.
easy. But if it's not, I'll just tell you.
I have something here called full wedding ceremony, step-by-step explanation of the full wedding ceremony. It's at a site. Yeah, it's quoted from the Satkriya Sara Deepika.
Right.
Anyway, I'll send you this link if you like.
Okay.
Please, yeah. And that's it. So I don't want to bother and interrupt the class.
Anyway, we've got devotees from different places coming for the wedding, and
Manjari and
Manjari.
Toshan Krishna and they're all go
It's
brother.
really exciting. I wish all of you could come.
Yeah.
Thank you for the invitation.
We'll make our home auspicious. It was
Okay.
something that you were reading at the end
Yeah.
of receiving the pure devotee at home, and
Just now.
just now.
Ganeshwar just read about inviting people to our homes.
That's yeah.
Ganeshwar?
So I could find it at Radha.news. No,
Name.
Radha Name News.
I have it for you right here. I'm trying to get back into where we are right now. How do
Okay,
I-
sorry.
He'll send it to you.
Okay,
Yeah,
great.
actually, I should have not started recording this because anyway.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, it would be better to save it for the end because people are watching. We're going to be watching all of this.
Boring. Okay.
Okay, I have to stop share
There we go.
and go to chat, and I'll put in the link here, and Mahabodhi can check this to see if it's up. Because Mahabodhi's run a university, so he knows the standard of excellence. You can just copy and paste it. Okay, so Bhavatrini, if Harry's busy, do you want to continue reading Bhavatrini?
I can read it.
He can read it. It's okay. He copied it down. Okay, go
The
ahead.
last part was rather named something. Even in ordinary social activities, these 6 types of dealings between 2 loving friends are absolutely necessary. For instance, when one businessman wishes to contact another businessman, he arranges a feast in a hotel and over the feast openly expresses what he wishes to do. He then inquires from his business friend how he should act, and sometimes presents are exchanged. Thus, whenever there is a dealing of priti, or love in intimate dealings, these 6 activities are executed. In the previous verse, Srila Rupa Goswami advised that one should renounce worldly association and keep company with the devotees. Sangha Tyagat Sato Brite. The International Society for Krishna Consciousness has been established to facilitate the 6 kinds of loving exchanges between devotees. This society was started single-handedly, but because people are coming forward and dealing with the give and take policy. Did I jump?
No.
Yeah, the society is now expanding all over the world. We are glad that people are donating very liberally to the development of the society's activities, and people are also eagerly accepting whatever humble contribution we are giving them in the shape of books and magazines dealing strictly with the subject matter of Krishna consciousness.
I have things out. Bugs can get in.
Okay. We sometimes hold Hare Krishna festivals and invite life members and friends to participate in the feasting by accepting prasad. Although most of our members come from the higher rung of society, they nonetheless come and take whatever little prasad we are able to offer them. Sometimes the members and supporters inquire very confidentially about the methods of performing devotional service, and we try to explain this. In this way, our society is successfully spreading all over the world, and the intelligentsia of all countries is gradually appreciating our Krishna conscious activities. The life of the Krishna conscious society is nourished by these six types of loving exchange among the members. Therefore, people must be given the chance to associate with devotees of ISKCON, because simply by reciprocating in the 6 ways mentioned above, an ordinary man can fully revive his dormant Krishna consciousness. In Bhagavad Gita 2.62 it is stated, Sangat sanjayate kamaha. Once desires and ambitions develop according to the company one keeps. It is often said that a man is known by his company, and if an ordinary man associates with devotees, he will certainly develop his dormant Krishna consciousness. The understanding of Krishna consciousness is innate in every living entity, and it is already developed to some extent. When the living entity takes a human body, it is said in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya 22.107, Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema Sadhya Kabu Manai Sravanadi Suddha Chitte Kare Udai. So that was one of the words that we remember discussing. It was Sandhya or Sadhya, but the goal is Sadhya. Sadhya means goal. Okay,
Can Baba Trini take over from here?
She's downstairs. She had to cover some of the prasadam.
Okay.
It's like India here, bugs will get in real quickly. Pure love for Krishna is eternally established in the hearts. Should I stop there or give you the meaning?
Well, I just wanted to see if my buddy would. I wasn't sure because that was a really long.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. No, it's okay. You're enthusiastic. I just want to have everyone have a chance to read. I don't know if my buddy is reading or not.
Well, I guess I read for 2. So.
Not reading, but I have the book, but there's too many pages here. I can show you the cover.
Okay.
And it's got, the whole thing, everything you do from setting up all the mantras. It's about Vivaha Karma. It's about 20, 30 pages. If I do the whole thing about the 7 steps, circulating the fire, the purification, the Laj Homa and Asukamana, with oblations of popped rice. They got the whole thing. Mm-hmm. So this is what they use when the Gaudiya devotees do any of their fire yogis and stuff. It's this book. So I use it sometimes for. I can show the book. Let me see. I've got no lights here because my electricity's off because of the storm. But let me see if I can put. This is the book. Hold on.
In the meantime, Daneshwar Prabhu, did you hear anything that Nirhari Prabhu read that inspires you to make a comment?
No comments thus far.
Okay, Nirhari, did you read anything that you feel inspired?
Is the lights on over there?
Yes.
We've got like 2 conversations going on now. We're discussing a marriage and we're reading Rupa Goswami. Maybe we should stop. Sorry,
no. I was just joking. No, I said it falls within the 6 exchanges. There's, fraternal, devotees are done, weddings and like that. Anyhow, thank you, and I'm sorry for.
No, I just don't know what should we stop reading and discuss marriages now? I don't know. I mean,
no.
Yeah,
why don't we discuss marriages after?
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
For a while, and then,
to focus on Rupa
and
Goswami.
then by that time, Buddhi will have found all his paraphernalia, information, whatever.
Thank you,
Yes.
Daneshwar. Thank you.
Thanks,
you.
Mahabodhi. Sorry about the interruption, guys.
Yeah, okay. Let me try to find the book again. All right. Does everyone see the page? Oh no, where did we go? Just have to hit the wrong button. All right. So Mahabudhi's not reading. I guess it's my turn then.
Here's the book if they want to just take it. This is the book if you want to know where it is.
Okay. It's Vivaha Karma.
I'm not.
Maybe you should take a picture of it and put the picture in the chat box.
You see it? I'm going to have it by tomorrow, unless someone has it in Hawaii.
Give the name of it.
It's called Satkriya Sara Deepika by Gopal Bhatt Goswami.
Sakriya Saradipika.
Satkriya Sara Deepika
Got it.
by Srila Gopal Bhatt Goswami. This is the book it is.
All right.
Can we go back to reading now?
Please, yeah, that'd be great.
Thank you.
In this exchange, a little story about that Prabhupada, it was very important to Prabhupada how we treat it, because he speaks about life members and how to, that we should, how this society is welcoming them. So one point, Prabhupada sent actually a doctor and his wife from India to Quebec. We had just opened Hanuman, we opened together a temple there, and Hanuman received with my sister. She was an amazing hostess, and they were so happy that they left. I think either Prabhupada or they left a Lakshmi conch shell. Have you ever seen those? The spiral differently than the others.
Yeah.
And he gave Hanuman that, and then Prabhupada wrote a letter thanking Hanuman for how he treated the guests. They were life members. So he speaks a little bit of that, how our society is gone, and the society at large could benefit from those exchanges.
Can you try putting a little bit of a towel or something under your computer? Because the last 3 or 4 sessions, you always hear this.
Yeah, we were gonna bring it to be fixed, but today it's been like really, or at least to hear. We got it located. I think it's a fan. We might have dropped the computer.
Okay.
Times.
Okay.
So
Well,
I don't know
then
what I can do to.
you could just mute then we shouldn't hear it.
Yeah. Thank you.
Tell me if I'm muting right now, and tell me if you can.
Yeah, it's very peaceful. It's perfect. Otherwise, it's a constant.
Gaura, I don't hear that at all.
Really? Okay, then I'll just tolerate it. Then you can go all you want.
Okay.
Hare
Picking
Krishna.
up where we left off, Gaura.
Pure love for Krishna is eternally established in the hearts of the living entities. It is not something to be gained from another source. When the heart is purified by hearing and chanting, the living entity awakens. Since Krishna consciousness is inherent in every living entity, everyone should be given a chance to hear about Krishna. Simply by hearing and chanting Shravanam Kirtanam, one's heart is directly purified, and one's original Krishna consciousness is immediately awakened. Krishna consciousness is not artificially imposed upon the heart. It is already there. When one chants the holy name of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the heart is cleansed of all mundane contamination. In the first stanza of his Sri Shikshastika, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, I would just like to make a comment on this verse, please. And that is that, sometimes when people ask, oh, you converted, you were a Christian before, okay, so you converted to being a Hindu now? And this verse, Nityasiddha, what is it, Nityasiddha, what is it? Nityasiddha Prema Sadhu Kamunoi Shravanadi Shuddhachite Karaye Udoy. Yeah, that Krishna consciousness is inherent in the soul. It's not that we're converting to something else. No, we're always Krishna's devotee. But I mean, I guess you could also say Christ consciousness is inherent in the soul.
Yeah,
Because
those are
that's how
big
they would.
questions. Right,
Christ is not
Oh.
inherent in the soul.
right. So that's a big topic. I mean, it's going on now furiously, and there are devotees who have, their logical explanation according to, Oxford. They use logic to attain this very esoteric concept.
Well, I'm going with the Christ Christos Krista Krishna. Go ahead, Danishwar.
Let's discuss that. Let's not get off on a tangent with that.
Okay,
That
go
can
ahead.
go on.
All right, so it's up to it is now your turn. Back to you, Nirhari Prabhu, to do the first Shikshastika
No,
prayer.
it's my turn.
Oh, okay, your turn.
Chaitodarpanam Arjanam Bhavmahadabagni Nirvapanam Shreyakaravi Chandrikas Vitaranam Vidyavaru Jivanam Anandam Buddhi Vardhanam Pratipadam Purnam Rintasvaranam Sarvamasnapanam Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam. CC Antilita 2012. All glories to Shri Krishna Sankirtan, which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of conditional life of repeated birth and death. This Sankirtan movement is the prime benediction for humanity at large because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss, and it enables us to fully taste the nectar for which we are always anxious. Not only is the chanter of Maha Mantra purified, but the heart of anyone who happens to hear the transcendental vibration of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, is also cleansed. Even the souls embodied in lower animals, insects, trees, and other species of life also become purified and prepared to become fully Krishna conscious simply by hearing the transcendental vibration. This was explained by Thakur Haridas when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu inquired from him how living entities lower than human beings can be delivered from material bondage. Haridas Thakur said that the chanting of the holy names is so powerful that even if one chants in the remotest part of the jungle, the trees and animals will advance in Krishna consciousness simply by hearing the vibration. This was actually proved by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself when he passed through the forest of Jharkhand. At that time, the tigers, snakes, deer, and all other animals abandoned their natural animosity and began chanting and dancing in Sankirtan. Of course, we cannot imitate the activities of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but we should follow in his footsteps. We chant for the animals at all the protests. We're not powerful enough to enchant the lower animals, such as tigers, snakes, cats, and dogs, or to entice them to dance. But by the chanting of the holy names of the Lord, we can actually convert many people throughout the world to Krishna consciousness. Contributing or distributing the holy name of the Lord is the sublime example of contributing or giving charity, the Dadati principle. By the same token, one must also follow the Pratigrihanati principle and be willing and ready to receive the transcendental gift. One should inquire about Krishna consciousness movement and open his mind in order to understand the situation of this material world. Thus, the Guhyam Akyati Prichati principles can be served. One comment, the second to last sentence, one should inquire about Krishna consciousness movement and open his mind to understand the situation of this material world, which, let's say, substantiates your forum for having the devotees discuss the current events and the solution to the current events of chanting the holy names, Gaura.
Thank you very much for framing everything in a transcendental way, Daneshwar Prabhu. Yes, the global scam and Krishna's plan. I really like this point that you just read here. How chanting the holy name of the Lord is the best form of charity. We're giving charity. When we're doing Harinam, we're giving in charity. Isn't that cool?
Yep. It's the highest welfare activity, Prabhupada writes in the Nectar of Devotion.
All auspicious. Whoever,
Auspicious.
yeah, it's one of the qualities of pure devotional service, right? In Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu,
Right.
Krishna, this is all auspicious.
And Prabhupada mentions three things cannot be given up: charity, austerity, and sacrifice. So those three are, when we do the Harinam Sankirtan, are in action, because we are in the best, the highest charity, the holy name. We do the highest sacrifice, the Harinam Sankirtan.
Nrihari, are there protests there in Hawaii of any
Yes,
kind that you get to go to and do Harinam at?
not that big, but yeah, I was about to do that, but they come and go, and they've been harassed, and but nevertheless, it's just that I had to pursue finding them, because there is one site now that I got into. It's called Friends of the Red Road. The Red Road is the road here that along the coast, and with all the lower Puna people are, and they're more the alternative minded. Lot of hippies here, and I saw them about a month ago. They've been going, and protesting. Then I saw one by the local Hawaiian people too, with against the vaccination, and big signs, and Kona, which is 2.5 hours away from us. But I will have to get in touch with somehow to find out when they're having those events to then chant.
Are the other devotees, there's many devotees in Hawaii, are the devotees active
Many.
for doing Harinam? on these
Yeah,
occasions?
there's Harinam going on Honolulu. I mean, we are like a half-hour flight away from Oahu, which is the island where Honolulu, the capital of the state, is. And the devotees at ISKCON, they continue to go on Harinam. And so that's been going on. Here is more gatherings and like that from all different generations. So everybody has there's different gurus, and like that. And the older generation, of course, it's Prabhupada disciples like Gopa Vrindapal and Vidagda Madhava. Madhukanta doesn't quite come quite. And we had a nice Harinam going on for a while, but we were traveling quite often, and now the last year and a half we've been here more, and we should try to help revive we used to go to downtown Hilo and distribute books and do Harinam. But yeah, I'm yet to find out. I mean, they're impromptu, gatherings of people with
Another
protests.
reason I like your point, Daneshwar. Sorry.
Go ahead.
Thank you.
Nirhari,
We're talking
I've got 16 pages of which gives you the whole Vaishnava Homa, which is what you chant, and then also I give the mantras and for the 7 steps around the fire. So all the rest of the stuff you can use any of the Vaishnav handbooks, but I don't know how you want to save it. How you want me to send this to you? I don't have your email, or want to do WhatsApp.
Maybe at the end of the class, I'll just.
Huh? He's doing it tomorrow. He can't. You're not have time for the book. Go ahead. I'm sorry. My wife is saying, "Why don't you just have enough time?"
Yeah. At the end of the class, I mean, so we don't interrupt anyone.
Yeah, no problem.
Don't want to make him anxious, and yeah, maybe you can. I'll give you my email, but thank you so much. Thank you, both of you and your wife, to be concerned.
Yeah, Daneshwar, what I was appreciating is when I've been hearing different God brothers or those who are in quote unquote authority positions saying, oh no, devotees should not go to these protests. We should not be affiliated with these people who are protesting the lethal injections. That's not our business. But actually, as you've just reminded us, this is the dati prati grinati.
Yeah.
This is receiving the gift of the holy name. This isn't about being political.
We always used to look for occasions when there were large numbers of people to go do Harinam, right? We used to go in Florida on spring break to the beaches, and we'd always get a beer abhishek, right, when we did that. And, but we would go there because there were, a lot of college students, a lot of people to hear. And even though, it wasn't the best, most sattvic crowd, it was, they were all getting benefit. And we did it for that reason.
Exactly. You weren't going there to celebrate spring break and have a beer. So yeah, you've given the whole transcendental perspective on it. And if devotees think going on Hari Nam anywhere is something mundane, then I think that's Namaparad. I think.
I'd ask them what's their patishta for that. What's
What's the pramana, right?
Pramana, right?
Oh, praman, the evidence.
Pramana, pratishta, pramana, right?
Okay, there's some pratishta.
Yuna Prabhu, thank you for joining in right now. Daneshwar made a nice point that this dadati pratigrinati, giving gifts and receiving charitable gifts, is the process of Harinam. So when we go to a protest to do the Harinam, we're not going to be politicians. We're going to give charity, and so people can receive charity. I know you understand this.
Jai, it's also higher than that because it's actually Rasa Leela. You're engaging others in the service of the Supreme Person. So it's actually way beyond the, oh yeah.
Elevated. You have a very elevated realization Harinam that you're joining the Rasa Leela when you go on Harinam.
Well, the Harinam
But everything
is
is in the
Rasa
holy
Leela.
name.
The Sankirtan is the Rasa Leela. We must all realize this. Then you can get over all the BS because that's what it is.
Sounds like you've been listening to Ayendra Prabhu quite a bit.
All glories to the pure Vaishnavas.
Yeah, you have to be very transcendental. Remember, when you're standing in 20 below zero weather, that you're in the Rasa Leela while doing the Harinam.
Actually, I didn't feel cold at all.
I was
could have kept playing the whole day.
People were telling me, I think Daneshwar, why you put your toque on? You're gonna,
I was also telling Vedavyas that it only really hurts when you stop.
Oh, I thought that looked familiar. That's Vedavyas. I know him for a long time too. Yeah.
I was telling him, it only gets cold and it starts hurting when you stop the Sankirtan.
Yep.
So that was a great day. That was a great day. I had never seen such a good response. But anyway, yeah, thank you for that.
Yeah.
I hope you can all return there again and again.
Yeah. Well, I asked Jivan Mukta about it, and he was saying, well, you're doing a lot of arrests there right now. And he's got a half a dozen businesses going. He just didn't think it would be very good for his situation because they're freezing accounts and they're really, I heard today that, well, anyway, I don't want to go into the politics, but some people, they follow dictators. So it may not be the best thing when it gets that bad for devotees to enter into that.
So, can I read something? A very short paragraph. This is
Okay, please.
tomorrow is Bhakti Pragyan Kesava's Goswami Maharaj's appearance, and so who's Prabhupada's sannyas guru, but he's written some very fiery stuff that really gives pleasure to my heart. And one of his things, maybe I can read two, but I'll at least read one if I have time. It says, Bhagavan personally aids those who have the courage to speak the truth. And here's the quote: you must swear to always preach the truth. Bhagavan personally aids those who have the courage to speak the truth. We will not be slaves to a world veering down the path of falsehood. We were not born to indulge in sinful proclivities and falsehood. We will not encourage in the slightest the demoniac education offered in modern universities. We must stop the world's demise resulting from the forces of Kali. People who want what is truly auspicious for the world need to solemnly vow to do so. Those with such spirit earn the name Mahabodhanaya, great benefactors. What they do is true altruism, Jiva Daya. Speak the truth fearlessly for the sake of preaching the truth. For the sake of preaching the truth, Nityananda Prabhu, Haridas Thakur, and other Vaishnavas were assaulted by the inimical. Many great personalities have even had to give up their lives for the sake of truth. As such, it will not become us to be fearful. Mahaprabhu's policy is to have mercy on all living beings and to preach, become humbler than a blade of grass and more tolerant than a tree. Preaching the glories of the Lord is true altruism. And if I can read one more, with also in the same spirit, because it's titled, Bhakti is not for the weak, timid, and cowardly. So this is he spoke this in 1962. Raj Bhogya Vasundara, the earth is enjoyed by the valiant. It is crucial to remember these words. It is not right to imagine that the servants of Madhurya Ras lack valor. Madhurya Ras is the complete Ras, wherein dwell all 12 Rasas. Where necessary, they all manifest in the servants of the Madhurya Ras. Inactivity is the emblem of sloth. To renounce what is actually favorable for the service of Sri Hari, considering it vice, just like those who are sitting, not saying you can't chant the holy name, is to blunder. To protect one paisa belonging to Sri Krishna's lotus feet, we may permit the destruction of hundreds of thousands. This is the teaching of exalted persons like Srila Prabhupada. Nayamatma bhalahina labhya. One cannot attain Paramatma if one is lacking in strength. Upon reflection on this statement from the Upanishads, it becomes clear that Bhagavad Bhajan is not for the weak or timid, nor for cowards. Thanks to the stupidity of phony sentimentalists, sahajas, and the dharma of Gaudiya Vaishnavas, what Sri Mahaprabhu came to preach is lapsing into oblivion. Unlike sahajas, we do not display the slightest hint of weakness in preaching the message of Mahaprabhu. Weakness of heart, Hridaya Durlabhya, is the foremost obstacle in performing Hari Bhajan. Those thoroughly free of this flaw are most qualified to preach. They alone are worthy of making disciples the world over. Courage, symptomatically, is not passive. The function of consciousness is action. We have had the fortune to be born in the spiritual family of such valiant personalities as Srila Prabhupada and Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Moreover, we maintain claim to the lineage of Sri Madhvacharya, the veritable emblem of strength and courage. It is the weak, cowardly, impotent, and lazy who are following the efforts of those Babajis, Matajis, and caste Goswamis of today who are antagonists to Bhagavad Bhakti. We will not replicate the devotional blunders of the Sahajas. The true purport of Trinadapi Sunuchena, feeling oneself lower than the blade of grass, is Tabeate Maratara Sare Upare. Kick them in the head. These words are found in the writings of Sri Vrindavan Das Thakur. If you remember Srila Narottam Das Thakur's words, Krota Bhakti Dvesi Jani, may my anger be channeled toward those inimical to the devotees.
Wow.
Bhakti Untitled, 1962.
1962.
There's another one for the duties of, I'm using these for my class on Sunday, the duties of Sri Hari's devotees in a demoniac society.
Stop just for 1 second. I want to hear, Daneshwara, did you have a response to that?
No, well, I was inquiring where these are from because I'd like to get the source.
Yeah.
They're the sayings of, I don't know the name right now. I have to go look at the book. They're the they're teachings of Bhakti-Priyan Keshava Goswami, and they listed all of his letters down. And
Is
you
it
know,
online anywhere?
I took out, you know, he was the mother of the Gaudiya Math. In fact, he was so kind to all the devotees that, you know, that Srila Gurudev and Srila Prabhupada gave a nice speech in 1968 honoring him, and when he heard this disposition, and he actually told it he should be in all of our temples, but they didn't do that. Anyway, he's a lion preacher, and so Bhakti, you know,
Acharya
Bhakti
Kesava.
Siddhanta, Bhakti-Priyan Kesava, our Srila Prabhupada, you know, they're all lion preachers. They're not fearful. Prabhupada was bold. And you know, I know he told me, both of them told me to preach boldly without fear. So, you know, I've copied and written down because I use them as, you know, remembrance. There's one more. There's two more, but there's one more. I gave one to Tapa Punj for his class about agriculture.
Okay.
But this one, it's called The Duties of Sri Hari's Devotees in a Demoniac Society. So this may be helpful also. If I can read,
Put
you allow me?
put that one in the chat box so we can all get a copy of it.
Yeah.
I don't. It's I'm reading it from. Where's my video? I'm reading it from a piece of paper. I'd have to find it electronically.
Oh,
Okay, so
You think it might be in that biographical book that Gurudev
yeah, it's in a
actually-
book.
right?
It's in a book.
Yeah.
I have the book. I have to just go
Yeah.
find it again, like I had to
You
find
might-
the Sakriya.
Right, Danishwar, my one I'm gonna try to, but I do have the biography, but living in two places has been difficult. But
It's
my-
not.
purebhakti.com. Pure Bhakti. Yeah,
No,
that's
it's not
that's
that
the
one.
book.
It's not
That's
in
a
that one.
biography, but it's not that
It's
one.
not in. It's not in Narayan Raj's biography of
Right.
Bhakti Kesava. It's his words and sayings. It's another book.
Okay.
Anyway,
And you know,
I'll
he
get-
was actually part of the National Indian Army. Actually, he joined as a youth. I think probably was about 16 years old, and the British were very meticulous, so they found every single one of them that had joined. So at the end, the commissioner came to Bhaktisiddhanta's ashram, and they and he heard about this, and so he brought all the very weak-looking devotees he had in the ashram. When this commissioner showed up, he said, "Boy, look at these boys. You think that they're going to be violent or?" And they're like, he in the meantime he hid actually Bhakti Pragyan Kesava Maharaj. Be no brahmachari at that time.
That reminds me, this is Rasangi. That reminds me of Shama Sundar when he went to the draft board because he was
Yeah.
going to be drafted. He fasted. He vomited up. He fasted for days. He looked disheveled and crazy and skinny, and they rejected him.
Oh,
And Prabhupada knew he did that.
So one of the key
Evil.
things, and what I just read was because everyone's saying Chanada Pisunu Chaina, Torah Pisu Histana, Amena Manadina, Kirtania Sadahari. Of course, we're supposed to wear that around our neck like a necklace.
Right.
But here, what is that? What is that showing of that humility? And just like Prabhupada used to say, kick him in the head with your boots. And so they kicked him in the head. So this is the preachers, Bhakti Siddhanta, you know, Madhvacharya, Vrindavan Das Thakur, Narottam Das, they're all people thinking like, oh, and all the servants are going to be mellow and mild, but they're so it's different. You know, it's not just these are sadhus saying that. It's not just our idea is that the humility means like you just run over and show weakness and surrender to the you know the stupidity and you know
Devotees
upasampradayas and that
devotees
stuff.
confuse those two qualities. They confuse humility with meekness.
Yes,
They're not the same at all.
Quote
not
from
at all.
I have a quote from Prabhupada. He says, "Humility means to be bold for Krishna." That's what humility means. Now, by the quotes you're giving, I'm fully getting what Prabhupada meant.
Yes, so this is what we need to hear, and I'm going to use this in my class on Sunday. So there's one more if I can read to you guys. If you it should be helpful, inspiration.
Welcome, Mitchell Leela. Thank you for coming all the way from Pakistan. Hare Krishna.
Mahabodhi, I have a class tomorrow, and I'd like to read that for my class tomorrow. So somehow
Well,
email it to me if you would. So take a picture of it and email it.
Okay.
Please.
all right. So, I think I only got your Telegraph account. I think that's the only one I have.
That's all right. That'll work.
Anyway,
Telegraph works. Otherwise, Dinesh writes email. It's simple.
I want
Yeah,
to copy you. I want to copy.
just
Can we
text
hear
me,
it
so I'll
now?
try to get it.
Are you going to read it to us now, though? Let's hear
Yeah,
it now.
I'm going to read this last one. The duties
Okay,
of
good.
Sri Hari's devotees
Hey,
in a demoniac society. Okay. And there's actually another one called Speak the Truth Fearlessly too, which is exciting too. But let me read the duties of Sri Hari's devotees in a demoniac society. Though Kali's influence is formidable, you need not fall prey to wrongdoing. Bhagavan is there. He always protects his servants. Battle the corrupt with the strongest ferocity by philosophical debate and by your personal conduct and behavior. Nrsimhadev will influence you with potency, infuse you with potency, and grant you immense strength. Never accept defeat under any circumstance. These days, Congress has advertised a motto in Sanskrit everywhere, Satyameva Jayati. Only the truth prevails. The victory of truth is inevitable. When Kamsa defied the demigods with his atrocities, the demigods prayed to Krishna to subdue and rectify him. Krishna instructed them to hide themselves and bide their time. He told them, very soon I will advent in the womb of Devaki to protect you. Preserve your lives somehow or other until my birth. Accordingly, the demigods concealed themselves in the forests and jungles, mountains, caves, and faraway lands to save themselves from the demons' clutches and preserve their religion and lives. If you find yourself severely inconvenienced, you may adopt these example and find accommodation elsewhere. Only profound conviction and devotion to Bhagavan can protect the sadhaka in his life's journey. Sri Bhagavan presents such situations in order to test and further the depth of the sadhaka's conviction. No matter how difficult the questions are on a test, the student who has studied perfectly will never fail. I have faith that you will surely be able to progress due to this test that Bhagavan has orchestrated. Adversity is the main foundation of success. A weak-hearted person sees difficulty as unfortunate and tries to prevent it or be liberated from it. A strong person, confronted with adversity, sees it as a case of auspiciousness and embraces it. So knowing adversity to be your good fortune, embrace it firmly and you will be victorious. In this earthly realm, common sense teaches us that if we are soft, then those of wicked disposition will display increased formidability. They are never to be shown softness. If they make one argument, you should counter it with 10, with great ferocity. If necessary, there is nothing stopping you from seeking the assistance of state police and other such organizations. Preserving your religious principles supersedes even the preservation of your life. Always remember this. In our nation, there is no scarcity of examples of those who gave their life to preserve the principles of religion. What more can I say?
wow.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
You want to hear one more? If this doesn't get your Kshatriyas, this is anyway. I won't say. I'm
Read the whole
not
book.
of the first class. I'm the second category.
We're gonna run out the door with our mridanga drums after this.
Yeah. So this is the last one I'll read tonight, and it's called "Speak the Truth Fearlessly." So these are for you guys to hear. There is not a word of Sriman Mahaprabhu's teachings that is unscriptural, illogical, or unfounded. All other preachers, so-called religious orders and preceptors, however have propagated and continue to propagate irrational opinions that are more or less concocted and contrary to the conclusions of the scriptures in order for them to gain repute in present day society. It is crucial to speak the truth fearlessly. Bhagavan is not for those who are faint at heart. The Upanishads state, Nayamat Mahalahina Labhya. Self-realization cannot be attained by weakness. Craven individuals manipulate spiritual dialogue by claiming, all is well, all is well. This only serves to reveal their frailty in the process of bhajan. You must vehemently oppose this. If necessary, and he's stating here, I am ready to appear in an open assembly to debate these matters. Srila Bhakti Pragyan Kesava, November 1960. So here's some examples of a lion preacher coming after Bhakti Siddhanta. And this is who Srila Prabhupada was friends with and took sannyas from. So as disciples and grand disciples, we should not be led astray by the current leadership of changing the books, of manipulating devotees, centralizing of so many atrocities, and just think, oh, I'm going to try to fix ISKCON from within. These guys are going to, they'll change and reform. BS. They've deviated so far, that the truth has to be spoken. And those smart enough and those with enough sumedha will understand this. And Prabhupada's asking people to be, to wake up, preach the truth, not simply cower and think that, oh, well, they're going to come around. These people weren't elected, they're appointed for life. They're enjoying a position. They're changing so many of Prabhupada's books and philosophy. They're no longer Prabhupada's mission. They're not following. I mean,
they've had 50 years to do it, and they haven't done it. So
no,
we're out of time.
Now,
we don't have.
Now they're telling devotees, like I heard Pradyuman, oh, you're not allowed to come to the temple unless you're double vaxxed. I heard, and one of the devotees in New Zealand, oh, we don't recognize these devotees, Hare Krishna. These are not sponsored. We all took the vax. We are all in Maya. Therefore, those devotees who are not in Maya are chanting, like you guys spoke before. This is, this has to be exposed. But the difference is
to promote the palace and Prabhupada chanting Jerusalem.
Yeah, and my wife is just saying that now to promote the palace, they've got this Karmi song about Jerusalem, African song, and they're dancing in the temple president, his wife, and others, and dancing in Prabhupada's palace with gay flags flying around, and they put it on YouTube. So I mean, it's just degraded to so far that if devotees think that they can fix it from within, good luck. It'll take divine intervention to do it this time, because the leaders are no longer those that are actually opposing this. There are devotees that actually oppose, there's GBC that actually oppose these things, but they're minority and they don't speak up because they feel they have no power.
I've told
those that are doing this.
I've been telling Nitya Leela this ever since I met her about 2 years ago. When I first met her, she was preaching. She was the director of communications for 10 ISKCON temples, and having amazing results. Her and her brother, and then the local GBC sent his own man in and undermined their position. The preaching has been going down, and I mean, Nitya Leela, you've been a member of ISKCON for what, 5 years now, something like that? Nitya Leela?
Yeah, it happened. Yeah, yes. Yeah.
And I was telling her, they were telling her that she cannot even conduct Zoom conference without the permission of the GBC, and I said that's nuts. You can have as many. Yes.
I'm telling all of you here that have hope because everyone's been following GBC for so many years. Tapa Punjan and myself, forget it. What you need to do is work with the devotees that are woken up, and set up the groups and temples and farms and whatever it is for cooperative devotees who believe like that. You're not
get everybody to read Divine or Demoniac by Dineshwar Das.
Yeah, if you wait for some permission from GBC, good luck. You know, it's like, and the problem is, it's like, you know, these devotees are just, maybe they'll reform. You've been controlled too long, guys. Got to wake up. You know, and they've ruined Prabhupada's mission. And I'm saying it. Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah.
my wife's got more comments than I'm even willing to give right here. But this is the point. You know, people need to hear this. We don't just want to throw things in people's face. No, there has to be a resolution also. What is the resolution? Work with those that are favorable, set up a separate thing, and do it. If you're going to sit with a thing, they're going to lock you out of the temple. And even what Sitapati says may come true. That at some point, they'll all become devotees of the new world order. And then Prabhupada will be, as he is, Prabhupada's a spiritual revolutionary. They say, oh, well, you know, your spiritual master, he's a terrorist. And this book, Bhagavad Gita, it's spiritual warfare.
They've already tried that in Russia.
Yeah,
but, they were not successful.
I mean, I don't think the devotees are waking up. If you were doing that, I would just say yes to Gopal and start doing your own thing. Cooperate with all the stuff again, and don't worry about what the GBC says, because they really can't. They're not going to come to Pakistan anyway. They'll send some chumcha of theirs there. They're not going to come there. So better that if you had good coordination, then you should take it from Prabhupada that you should follow his instructions and keep doing it, rather than waiting for permission for someone who doesn't want to give permission. They just want to have their own aggrandizement. Anyway, I'll get off the pulpit, but that's my point. My feeling.
Yeah, very good one. And
we
it's
deviated a little bit from Nectar of Instruction.
Yeah, but even in recent history, we should see what happened to Gaudiya Math, and how Prabhupada and his senior godbrothers broke away from that and to form their own mats, to form their own groups. And so that might be necessary. I mean, it is.
I want you to say your thing about.
But then, if someone's speaking, I didn't hear.
Okay.
Who's speaking?
You want me to say it?
He was asking this one.
Go on.
Oh, actually, Siddhanta's original Gaudiya Math came back around, and now they're the original.
The groups.
The one that, like, we went to visit Santa
but that was run by
Maharaj.
separate.
They have always been. It's not promoted bad.
What?
Well, there was this. We went to visit one of the original temples in Calcutta of Gaudiya Math, established by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati
But it had the
Thakur.
name of the original.
Yes, but it was run independently, autonomously from anything. There was no longer Gaudiya Math.
I thought it was just the
Can we
original.
go back to reading, or
Please,
So
yes, let's get back to
this deviation started in 1977, before Prabhupada left, and it's just got stronger and stronger and stronger. My wife has
70.
one point.
Okay.
My wife wants to say, she told me to say one thing of her own personal experience. Her and Prabhupada's granddaughter, what's her name? Jalakala, and was taking care of Pishama. And, you know, Pishama had told my wife and Jalatala, my wife and
Prabhupada's daughter.
And Prabhupada's daughter. Do you want to say it? You might as well say it. She wants me to say it. She's embarrassed. She's embarrassed to talk in front of him. She's eating right now.
Who's Jalatala?
His granddaughter.
Jalatala. Anyway,
granddaughter.
They were taking care of Pishama, and Pishama said to them that my brother is very unhappy, very unhappy. And then, you know, then she would ask, and only recently, like Shamarani also said to her that Prabhupada was Trikala Gyan. He knew past, present, and future. And he knew what was going to happen back then. He knew that, you know, the following that he had was going to be changed, and all these things were going to take place. And he was very upset about this. And he actually said this to Narayan Maharaj in Hindi, when, you know, those tapes, which we have, the tapes that they don't have in ISKCON, that Prabhupada, Narayan Maharaj has said several things to Srila Gurudev that he, not besides that are trying to poison, but that he was very unhappy with about these people. So this stuff started as far back as 1977. It's just, it kept getting worse and worse, and changes, and they bring so many different philosophical changes that are against the Gaudiya Vaishnava philosophy, and they're just presenting it. So unfortunately, that's where we're at today.
Lucky for Bhakti Charu. He came out and blew the whistle again.
What happened?
Yeah, my wife said Bhakti Charu had brought, before he died, in his last lecture, he said, well, Prabhupada was poisoned, but I think it was this brahmachari that no one knows about. He came and it's not, that's nowhere. But he, feeling guilty,
You froze, Mahabodhi. We can't hear you.
Hear you.
Out like Tamal and they're in a coma trying to figure out where the Yamadutas are going to place him.
Yeah, you pay $170,000 for a chartered airplane.
Yeah, he paid $170,000 to charter an airplane from India to America, only to die in the hospital alone. Anyway, I don't want to say anymore.
Yeah, we know some two things that Chandi and Gaur Sundar, the Prabhupada called them. It was towards the end, and he asked him to please get him out of there. He wanted to them to charter a plane. It was very difficult. I don't know what happened in that situation, but there was a coup d'état in ISKCON in the mid-70s.
Can we get back to the reading, please?
Yeah,
really. I
you guys started it. You guys started it.
Well, we can always end it.
We can always at the end. Reading. Yeah. So
have a private Zoom and get into it all you want, but we're getting really off track here for a long time.
Okay.
Bavatrini, it's your turn to read, please.
Okay.
Or wait a minute, there's others that have not read at all, like Nicholina, Rasangi. Are you?
Bavatrini didn't read, but also the rest, like
okay.
Rashangi hasn't read.
But I like to hear other people read, so whoever.
So I have to go. Guru Das is doing a video presentation of his new book to the Houston ISKCON Temple.
Wow.
So I'm going to be going on that at 6:00. And Gaura, I tried this. I don't know where to send you the Zoom contact information. If anybody wants to go on, I'll put it in the chat box.
Yeah, please do. I want to hear that.
It's going to be amazing. His pastimes and his photographs that no one's ever seen are
please
now.
give us the links to the previous ones.
Yeah, I have the links. Yeah. Today's going to be good though, and we're going to see all these Houston Indian folks coming and learning about Prabhupada in the early days. So I'll put it in the chat box in a few minutes, but I can't read because I have to set up.
I'm leaving. Thank you very much, everyone.
Prabhu, thank you for your help.
Yeah.
And
Michalila, could you please read?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. The members of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness invite that society's members and supporters to dine with them when they hold love feast in all their branches every Sunday. Many interested people come to honor prasada, and whenever possible, they invite members of the society to their homes and feed them sumptuously with prasada. In this way, both the members of the society and the general public are benefited. People should give up the company of so-called yogis, jnanis, karmis, and philanthropists because their association can benefit no one. If one wants to attain the goal of human life, he should associate with devotees of the Krishna consciousness movement because it is the only movement that teaches one how to develop love of God. Religion is the special function of human society, and it constitutes the distinction between human society and animal society. Animal society has no church, mosque, or religious system. In all other parts of the world, however downtrodden human society may be, there is some system of religion. Even tribal aborigines in the jungles also have a system of religion. When religious system develops and turns into love of God, it is successful. As stated in Srimad Bhagavad Gita, sa vai pumsam paro dharmo yato bhakter adhoks saje ahetupi apratihata yaetma suprasidati. The supreme occupation dharma for all humanity is that by which man can attain devotional service unto the transcendental Lord. Such devotion service must be unmotivated and uninterrupted in order to completely satisfy the self.
Thank you, Nicholema. Bob, you haven't read.
You distorted a bit.
Okay. That's one of my favorite verses. In this regard, Srila, is that where I start, or if the members? If the members of human society actually want peace of mind, tranquility, and friendly relations between men and nations, they must follow the Krishna conscious system of religion by which they can develop their dormant love for God, for Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As soon as people do so, their minds will immediately be filled with peace and tranquility.
Let's read the next one because that was really short.
Okay. In this regard, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur warns all devotees engaged in broadcasting the Krishna consciousness movement not to speak to the impersonalist Mayavadis, who are always determined to oppose such theistic movements. The world is full of Mayavadis and atheists, and the political parties of the world take advantage of Mayavad and other atheistic philosophies. I can't, please remove that. I don't know where I was.
To promote materialism.
To promote materialism.
Where?
Right here.
Oh, to promote materialism. Sometimes they even back a strong party to oppose the Krishna consciousness movement. The Mayavadis and other atheists do not want the Krishna consciousness movement to develop because it educates people in God consciousness. Such is the policy of the atheist. There is no benefit in feeding a snake milk and bananas because the snake will never be satisfied. On the contrary, by taking milk and bananas, the snake simply becomes more poisonous. Kevalam visha vardhanam. If a snake is given milk to drink, its poison simply increases. For a similar reason, we should not disclose our minds to the serpent Mayavadis and karmis. Such disclosure will never help. It is best to avoid association with them completely and never ask them about anything confidential because they cannot give good advice. Nor should we extend invitations to Mayavadis and atheists, nor accept their invitations. For by such intimate intermingling, we may become affected by their atheistic mentality. Sangat sanjayate kamaha. It is the negative injunction of this verse that we should refrain from giving anything to or accepting anything from the Mayavadis and atheists. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has also warned, Vishayira anakaile dushta hayaman. By eating food prepared by worldly people, one's mind becomes wicked. Unless one is very advanced, he's unable to utilize everyone's contribution to further the Krishna consciousness movement. Therefore, on principle, one should not accept charity from the Mayavadis or atheists. Indeed, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has forbidden devotees to associate even with ordinary men who are too addicted to material sense gratification.
The conclusion is that we should always keep company with devotees, observe the regulative devotional principles, follow in the footsteps of the acharyas, and in full obedience to the orders of the spiritual master. In this way, we shall be able to develop our devotional service and dormant Krishna consciousness. The devotee who is neither a neophyte nor a Mahabhagavat, a greatly advanced devotee, but is within the middle status of devotional service, is expected to love the Supreme Personality of Godhead, make friends with the devotees, show favor to the ignorant, and reject the jealous and demoniac. In this verse, there is brief mention of the process of making loving transactions with the Supreme Personality of Godhead and making friends with the devotees. According to the Devotee principle, an advanced devotee is supposed to spend at least 50% of his income on the service of the Lord and his devotees, and his devotees. Srila Rupa Goswami has set such an example in his life. When he decided to retire, he distributed 50% of his life's earnings to Krishna service and 25% to his relatives, and kept 25% for personal emergencies. This example should be followed by all devotees. Whatever one's income, 50% should be spent on behalf of Krishna and his devotees, and thus will fulfill the demands of Dadati. So I'd like to pose a question to our author of Spiritual Economics, Dineshwar Prabhu, and try to understand this dichotomy that, because, I used to be a grahast at one time, and I thought, my God, if I give 50% of what I have, I won't even have enough to pay my rent and buy food for my wife and son. So what's the explanation, Dineshwar?
That one should give, one should find a way to give depending on the mercy of the Lord, understanding that Krishna is the maintainer of everyone and Krishna will maintain us. So, and also then, the question comes up, who is the maintainer of everyone? We're thinking, I have to maintain my children, but Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha, he's been maintaining everyone since time immemorial. So that takes a lot of faith. Not everybody can do that. The example is, who was one of the associates of Lord Chaitanya? He had many children. Huh? Srivas. Yeah, and so he was it him that wasn't, he didn't do anything to get any income, right, even though he had many children. And Lord Chaitanya even asked him, how do you survive? How do you do? And he clapped his hands 3 times, right? You know the story? And 1, 2, 3. If what I need doesn't come within 3 days, what's the rest of it, Nihari? Do you remember?
I'll jump myself and everybody into the Ganga.
Yeah.
And his whole family.
So
goodbye.
He was so determined like that. Of course, that's an example for us, and not everybody has such faith.
Did you hear that, Prabhu? You hear the St. Lawrence?
See, Krishna, who was present, Lord Chaitanya, he turned to, I think it was Mukunda, one of his doctor disciples, wealthy, and they said, please take care of him, administer his, maintain him, So that Krishna will maintain and Krishna will protect
But
us.
he might maintain through what.
But he does it through his agents. It's not,
We need to, if we want to find out how Krishna is taking care of us, we have to put ourselves in circumstances in which we depend on nobody but Krishna.
Yeah.
If we're going to depend on our money, if we're going to depend on our connections, our position, whatever, if we're going to depend on anything else, Krishna says, okay, well, what can I do, right? But we put ourselves in circumstances where we only depend on Krishna, and Krishna is happy to have the opportunity to show up and take care of his devotees. Now, I give the example of devotees doing book distribution for this. That they, the way we do book distribution, right? We go out to a parking lot. We have no idea who we're going to meet. We just, by chance, and the devotees are praying, please, Krishna, send somebody who wants to hear this message, right? And there's so many wonderful experiences of book distributors who say, some man came along, he was ready to go commit suicide, but he says, oh, thank you. You know, this book, this is the knowledge I was looking for. I was just going to go kill myself. So there are many stories like that. So, you know, we need to find a way to depend on Krishna. And, you know, of course, the demons, they set up this world of money to exploit people. And we have to be careful not to buy into that. Money's like fire. You know, it can be useful, but you can also, it can do great harm. And so the better situation, right, because we follow the path of Nivriti Marg, is to put ourselves in a dependent condition and then struggle, and Krishna will take care. Our entire movement was started on this principle of giving without thinking, how are we going to get anything back?
Yeah.
We were just giving prasadam, giving the mantra, giving kirtan, giving, and everybody reciprocated because they felt so blessed by what they were getting from the devotees. So that in itself is an example for us. You know, it works that way all the time. We just simply have to continue following that formula.
Jivan Mukta Prabhu is with us. Hare Krishna Prabhu. Thanks for tuning in. Do you have anything to add to what Dineshwar Prabhu just said? The comment was, Prabhupada was describing how we should use 50% of whatever we receive in the to serve Krishna and his devotees, 25% for our own personal maintenance, and 25% for emergencies. Do you have any? The question I asked Dineshwar is, how do you do that? Because when I was trying to serve a wife and a son, if I gave 50% to the temple, I wouldn't have enough to serve to pay for my rent and buy food.
Got to work harder.
Can I say something?
Well, can we say something?
Let Jivan Mukta finish, please.
Okay.
Actually, it's something that is really important for me at this point in my life, because you know, you work hard and you accumulate, you know, a certain amount of assets, and then you understand that this isn't mine, and really I have to do something with this because it was given to me by Lord Krishna. Everything is his property, and I'm going to die. I'm going to leave this all behind. And you know, some people could leave it all to their family and their kids, you know, which is not that it's bad. I mean, we have to look after our family and our children and, you know, help them out. But like you said, it's like 50% should be going to Krishna Conscious Project. The problem I find personally is that, okay, so where would I direct it to? I mean, the BBT, I guess you can give it to the BBT, but now there's that whole controversy with the, you know, changing of the books. Or do you give it to a particular temple for renovations or maintenance? Do you give it to different preaching programs? But then, you know, there's all types of political situations that you may not want to encourage or support or in any way be involved with. So it's a challenge sometimes finding, you know, where you can direct it. I'm hoping that I could build something here, you know, myself, and create kind of like a nonprofit type of a situation where it can be handed on from generation to generation to some type, you know, to hopefully to qualified devotees. But yeah, I totally agree with that premise. I mean, that's the whole point, is that you have the right to perform your duty, but you know, you're not entitled to the fruits, right? We have to, and this is something that gets us into that frame of mind that we are not entitled to the fruits of our work. We're entitled to work, yes, but the fruits of the work have to be offered to Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Bhavatrini, you had a comment?
Yes, I spent maybe a year going over this with Srila Prabhupada.
Oh, really?
I inherited some money.
Right.
And at the time, I was a single mother, and I was getting welfare. And I had 2 children in the Gurukula, and my sister was paying their tuition. And the temples did not like women with children. And I was about to receive a large sum of money. So I thought, well, you know, I should follow Rupa Goswami's method. But if you remember, it didn't just say give it to Krishna conscious activities. He gave it to qualified Brahmins.
That's very key.
That's, so then we study that they're
25% to his family.
And he gave 25% to his family, and then he actually set aside some for, not for himself, but Sanatana Goswami used it. And then we just found out from Indradumya's videos that he also bought 500 cows in Vrindavan because Lord Chaitanya told him to support and take care of the devotees that came to Vrindavan.
And I don't know if you know anything about cows, but they're very expensive to maintain if you have to feed them and like that.
Yeah. So anyway, I think Prabhupada was very practical. So you give 50% of the net after you spend your rent, your food, the necessities. And you can't cheat, you can't cheat. You don't like, oh, I'm going to do this and I'm going to buy a fur coat or something, but you give 50% of the net because your expenses have to be covered.
Okay.
That's one way of looking at it. But what happened with me is I didn't know what to do. And I had all these people were telling me, do this, do that. I thought I should buy some property since they didn't want me to live in the temple and with the children, and I needed to be self-sufficient. And I found a piece of property, but then I would have no income. I could buy property, but then after I bought the property, built a house, then what? So I didn't know what to do. So he told me in a letter, well, although you have so many ideas and opinions of your own, just like Arjuna, it was so fun. He says, so but he put the matter before his spiritual master, and that was his qualification for hearing the Bhagavad Gita. So he said, so you have on hand $24,000 here. You can deposit it into my Mayapur Vrindavan Trust Fund. So I thought, oh, okay, that's about half of it. So he wants me to give half, but actually it was a transposition of it was 42,000 cash, and someone must have typed it wrong. So I wanted to verify that. So in the end, he said, so as you have on hand a check for $41,880.87, here is a deposit slip. You fill in the exact amount and deposit it in my bank in Hawaii, my Liberty Bank. And then he had a little PS with the handwritten telling me where the bank was and the bank number.
When did he tell you to see you have come to the platform, a higher platform?
The first letter, he said that. Oh, and also I was saying I didn't know where to live. And then in my second letter, I said, I now understand that the best place for me to live is where I can serve you best. And he said, now you've come to a higher platform of consciousness. But I really meditated on this. And what was Prabhupada's last instruction? Oh, just give me everything. Don't worry about it. Just give me every single penny. Give it to the Mayapur Vrindavan Trust Fund. These places, Mayapur and Vrindavan, are especially for my Western disciples, so they can take advantage of these holy dhams and come here and become Krishna conscious. And these places are for you too. You can live here in Vrindavan or in Mayapur, have your own room. And then he goes, or any of the temples. All I desire is my disciples chant at least 16 rounds a day and follow the rules and regulations and live in association
Read Krishna
with
books.
devotees. And then he said I could have my own room with my young child and read his books like Krishna book, and then I'll be happy, peaceful, and not disturbed. And he also said, oh, I said, you know, I really haven't done any service. He says, oh, you've done a great service by raising up 2 children and placing them in the Gurukula. So I was thinking, oh, okay, so I don't have to do anything about them anymore, but how do I pay their tuition? And then he goes, if you have any more questions, write to me, and please let me know how you're doing. Write me back. How are you settling? And I couldn't write him back. I was like, he told me, I'd given my sister the jewelry I inherited to pay back for the Gurukula tuition. And then in my second letter, I described I'm getting $41,880.87 cash, $10,000 in real estate, and at that time, $2,000 in my grandmother's jewelry. And so while I'm waiting to hear from him, I gave my sister the jewelry to pay her back for my Gurukula tuition that she'd been paying for several years. Then he said in the letter, oh no, you're a woman, you have you should keep the jewelry. It's just, that's like, that's yours, you keep it. It's like for emergencies. And so I thought, oh, I didn't follow his instructions. I was so upset. So I was having a hard time writing him back because I didn't follow his instructions. So he called the temple and he goes, and I didn't live at the temple. I lived in an apartment because, they wouldn't let me live in the temple. And there was a gas shortage. So I could only go to the temple for Mongol Artik, and then I had to go home. So because they didn't want the child at the temple. So I hear that he called the temple and wanted to know why I hadn't written him back, and so I thought, okay, well, now what do I do? So I got to talk to him, and when I came in, I said, about the jewelry, and he started yelling at me, what is this jewelry business? He thought I was one of those people in vans going around selling the silver jewelry and
liquid silver
and making boyfriends and girlfriends and taking drugs. There was a problem in the movement at that time.
Okay.
So I got to talk to him, and when I walked in, my understanding was, I could live in any temple, just chant 16 rounds, follow the 4 principles, and associate with devotees and read his books and take prasadam. The first thing he says after he yelled at me, and then he found out that it was my sister's jewelry. He said, oh, no problem. My grandmother's jewelry. He goes, why aren't you in Vrindavan? He'd ordered me to go to Vrindavan. I didn't understand. And before I could answer, Sudama said, oh, well, she does bake sales for us or something. And he looks at me and he goes, you are very fair. You might get sick. You can stay here and have a room at the temple in Hawaii. And then I thought, oh, okay, because I was worried. I gave him every single penny. That was the real reason I didn't go to Vrindavan. I didn't know how to get there. But I didn't ask him how to get there. So anyway, but the main point, what happened is finally he told me I had to go visit the Gurukula, so then I needed money again. So his last money instruction was, and he told me that I wasn't finished with my children at Gurukula. I had to go make sure the teachers were teaching him right and stuff like that. So he said, I said, what do I do if I need money? Because now I have to fly to Dallas and go to the Gurukula. He goes, and Sudama goes, she does bake sales. And he goes, no, I said, I can sell guavas. I can pick guavas. So he goes, no. Sudama goes, she can do bake sales. He goes, no, you are a woman. You have a child. You should not strain. I said, well, I like to distribute your books. He goes, oh, you can do that. There will be a profit. You keep that. So his instruction to me was to sell his books and use the profits for my personal livelihood and children and travels and service. So that was my exchange with Srila Prabhupada on
Wow.
that exact question.
In the morning walk in Mayapur, if you want, I can say something.
I just wanted to respond to her for a second, if I could.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it sounds to me, Baba Trini, that I'm not faulting anything. I'm looking at the whole thing and I'm thinking, it seems that the Prophet expected maybe you to communicate more with him about what your needs were. Otherwise, he wouldn't tell you just to give everything if you don't have anything for plane fare, right? I'm just trying to understand this from the practical way. Can't hear you. You're muted.
I didn't know. This was new. I hadn't had a bunch of conversations or letter exchanges with
Because
him,
of shyness.
and I was shy.
He wanted it to.
And so it's just like that devotee that passed away. What was his name? He was staying. Pita. Yeah.
Ooh, which one?
He was saying Prabhupada wanted a Q-tip for his ears, and he couldn't find one. And instead of telling him he couldn't find a Q-tip, he gave him a cotton ball. I mean, that's kind of what I was doing. I didn't want to bother him. I didn't want to,
Yeah.
I didn't want to cause trouble or talk too much or bother him. I was in a lot of awe and reverence.
Right.
Even though he was being very loving and affectionate with me. And after that, he told the temple, I finally went to Vrindavan. He was very happy. But right after that, he paid for me and my daughter, the baby that was with me, to go to the San Francisco Rath Yatra, and he arranged for me to ride on the airplane with him from San Francisco to Los Angeles. Yeah. And then he paid for me to go to Gurukula.
Didn't he call all the GBC to tell?
Yeah, he called all the GBC and temple presidents in San Francisco and told him, oh, she gave me every penny. Just see what she's done. And
wow.
And so they were all trying to find some way to give me a gift or something. And then when I got to Dallas, then I was doing the book distribution and keeping the profit in order to get back to Hawaii. And eventually I got to Hawaii and he was very happy. And like I said, he told the temple president that part of being the temple president of Vrindavan was to make sure that I was taken care of and my children, and that we had facility and prasadam.
So even Bagaji.
Oh, and his friend Bagaji took special care of me and got me some cows. Yeah.
Wow, like $40,000 in 1970, whatever it was, it'd be like worth what, double, triple today?
At least triple. Well, the property that she was looking at, it was probably half of what she had, and that property now on the ocean with the stream, it would be in the $3-4 million.
Wow, wow. Yeah, I'm really really impressed how you just gave everything to Prabhupada and completely dependent on him. And
you would have too. No doubt.
All of the present devotees sacrificed their youth, everything they had. They left their families, name, fame, you know.
Yeah.
I saw that with my sister. She was so famous in that society, you know, avant-garde and, you know, prized artist. She was on the cover of Time magazine, People magazine. She was voted, you know, she won the Cannes Festival for a campaign she did for advertising campaign, the 7-Up. But when she became, she gave everything. Actually, whatever she had left of her money was used by Hanuman to print books and to pay the rent and like that. She supported.
But Baba Trini, it doesn't sound like you were always the little bits and pieces I got here and there. It doesn't sound like every temple president honored what Prabhupada wanted for you, because you were getting out here.
Not at all.
But what I'm really impressed about is it doesn't seem you ever got resentful. Did you ever feel like, wow, this isn't what Prabhupada promised me? Never?
No, I never felt resentful, especially because Jayananda said to me one time, he goes, you know, Mother Bavatrini, I always have a soft spot in my heart for you because they're always giving you so much trouble. They're always trying to throw you out of the temples, always give you so much trouble, but you just keep on serving Srila Prabhupada. You don't leave. You just keep serving Srila Prabhupada. So.
No, if you were any lesser of a devotee, I mean, some devotees would have laughed like, wow, how dare they treat me like that, right? But you were a trooper. You definitely came from the school of hard knocks.
Yes. And she never blamed Prabhupada for anything like this.
Yeah.
But actually, it was like more positive than negative. I mean, when I was being mistreated, all the devotees were being mistreated. That was around the time Tamal Krishna wanted to put send all the women to, was it Australia, and close all the temples and put everyone on buses and get rid of the deities, and so I wasn't specifically picked out to be mistreated. So
when they called you in the assembly of all those guys in Vrindavan and threw your letter on the ground, was that more specific than that?
Oh, that was specific. Yeah. That was a little disturbing. But it's just like when I joined, I didn't know what spiritual life was. So due to my stupidity, I moved into the temple with 2 children, and the other people in the temple didn't like having children in the temple, so all the women were being as mean as possible to me as they could. And I didn't notice because I read about spiritual life being austere.
It sounded like you said you were stupid because of joining, but no, due to your poor understanding, you thought like the spiritual life was suffering.
Oh yeah, I thought, well, you have to suffer, just like no pain, no gain.
Right. So you endured.
Yes.
I think we have just a tiny bit left to finish. Dvija would you like to read, Prabhu? Thank you for coming.
Jai Dvija.
Jai Dvija.
In the next, all that's left is 1 sentence. Go for it, Dvija. In the next verse. Can't hear anything. Okay, I'll read it if you can't read it. In the next verse, Srila Rupa Goswami informs us what kind of Vaishnavas should be selected as a friend and how Vaishnavas should be served. So that'll be next Friday.
I've had some trouble with my device. I guess I needed to can you hear me now?
Yeah, it's really bad, the sound quality. It's all garbled. Yeah.
So can I just make a comment?
Mute you. Yeah, please, Dvija Mukta, Prabhu.
Prabhu, I just want to make a point. I know we've discussed this in previous gatherings here, but that one sentence is very important because it shows how devotees have to have discrimination. How we can't just whitewash everything and just think that everyone is the same.
Right.
There are very clear distinctions. Prabhupada is saying here that in the next verse, the Swami is going to show us how to discriminate.
Mm-hmm.
How to discriminate so that we could assist our efforts, the efforts in making spiritual advancement. How we could discriminate based on the qualities that devotees are manifesting and demonstrating.
Mm-hmm.
Who to accept as your friend, who to respect but avoid, and that's all based on their behavior and their character. So, very, very important for devotees to have a real keen sense of discrimination.
Mm-hmm. Yes, thank you. I talked to Lochan. Go ahead, finish, continue.
Oh, sorry, and discrimination means to be judging, right? You got to judge. Now, it doesn't mean that you have to disrespect.
Right.
but there has to be that sense where you judge, where different devotees are at.
Right. Lochanananda Prabhu was reminding me today when I spoke with him that the Madhyam Adhikari devotee, he makes the distinction, to worship the Lord, to make friends with the equals, to help the juniors, but also to reject those who are demoniac, that we're not meant to preach to demons. Like, that's one reason we're not going to Ottawa this weekend, because they're locking everybody up and putting them in jail. But I was also thinking, if a devotee is preaching to us and saying, you should not go on Harinam, then such association must be rejected. That's my understanding.
Past the point.
Quit being, you can bring the point back. Quit being a, oh.
Jiva Mukta, do you have a comment to that back?
Well, we don't reject them. I mean,
We reject that order.
yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't be so harsh in the sense that the first thing I would do is ask them why they're taking that position. They may have in their minds a legitimate reason why they don't want to do that. But you gotta take their entire life as an example. Like you can't just say based on that, I'm just going to reject them. They may otherwise be, you know what I mean? They may otherwise be very, very wonderful, devotees. Great example of their sadhana, the sadhana, their dedication. But in this particular instance, they may have bought into a particular viewpoint. You know what I'm saying? So for us to avoid them as if they're like demonic, no. I mean, I think that's offensive and that's not the right.
But if they're telling me I need to take the jab, and if I tell other people don't do it, and they say that I've gone mad because I'm telling people, don't give into the scam, and they start criticizing me, then I need to avoid them.
Yeah, you need to avoid them. Yeah.
Yeah.
But but their comments and their perspective may, in their minds, generally be out of
Good intentions? Your voice is breaking up. I think you're saying that your voice is breaking up. Sorry. I think what you're trying to say is that they may have good intentions. I think.
Like with our family, they have good intentions, just like wanting us to take us back home, right? To take us back, get us out of the temple. Their intentions were good because they thought decision.
Can't understand you very well, Prabhu. You must be in a bad area where there's no reception. Baba Trini, did you have something you wanted to say?
Nurit was trying to say.
No, that's okay. She's.
Yeah, he was.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, he wanted to say something previously.
Unless I'm asked, I'm not going to open that.
Okay, I don't know what to do. Did you want to finish saying what you were saying, Jiva Mukta? Because we couldn't hear you.
We couldn't understand.
No, go on.
No. We wanted.
We can hear you now. It's clear.
Now we can hear you.
What I was saying was that it's just like good intentions. Like some of us who joined the temple, our parents freaked out because they thought, that we've gone mad. So they had good intentions when they wanted us kidnapped and brought back home.
Right.
Like the intentions were good, but the actions ultimately weren't justified, but the intentions were good. So just like some of these devotees, their intentions may be good regarding trying to convince you to take the jab, but fundamentally it's a really bad, bad advice and bad position to take. But from their perspective, they really just want the best for you.
That's right. But we reject such advice.
Of course, yeah.
Nirihari, you had something earlier to say, Prabhu.
No.
No, Nirihari Prabhu had something.
Yeah, you were speaking
Oh,
on.
well, we're talking about the 50%.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and what to give or not, how to
Yeah.
act.
Yeah.
And so there's a story in the Mahabharata about Yudhishthira Maharaj. And during the, I think it was in Rajasuya, or when he opened his treasure house and gave everything away. And then so he could understand the speech of animals too. So above him, a few cranes went by, and he was saying, "Did you hear about Yudhishthira Maharaj and how he gave opened his treasury, he gave everything?" And the other one says, "Yeah, but there is this sage who is even more generous." I said, "Well, how is that?" "Well, Yudhishthira Maharaj will empty his treasury house and it's going to be filled up again. But this sage, he goes to the fields where grain falls after being harvested, and he cooks it and gives it away to the very poor." So it's what you keep, it's what is it that we keep back, or and that sage against Yudhishthira Maharaj, he gave so much, but he already, things were going to be replenished, he was going to get it back. In the case of the sage, it's all really depending on Krishna, whether there'll be grains there or not, but he will give everything he had. And so it's what we keep back that is, what indicative of that generosity. And like Bhavatrini said, actually it was in the, later on was explained to us in more detail, that it was a net, that your maintenance has to be taken care of, and then the rest, you can divide. In the case of Rupa Goswami, we just find out there's documentation on, he kept some money to maintain devotees, because Lord Chaitanya asked him that now there will be many Vaishnavas coming to Vrindavan, especially you're there with your brother. And so he purchased 500 cows. That's a lot of cows. And he was so famous, Rup Sanatan, they were so famous, great saints, that the emperor at that time,
Akbar.
It was an Akbar, it was his
father.
He gave Rupa Goswami all of Braja to have his cows pastured any place that he needed to take, to do that. And so through devotees, they graze the cows all over the place. The other thing is that in what to do with money, I mean, I've been a businessman and we've been successful, not so right now, but when we had the money, we were wondering what to do. How should we give it to the temple? And then after the fiasco with ISKCON, we were like really reticent to, give someone money for them to furnish their guru pads, with it. So this devotee came forth and he said, "Oh, we are going to continue ISKCON World Review." So I said, "Well, what do you need?" It was $100,000, and it was a chunk of money. So we did give it, and they were like that. Then he ended up using for his family, and he published two things, and that was it. And so we learned then later on that, but our association with the pure devotee is most important, because they really know what to do with Krishna's energy, in the form of money or in the form of buildings, in the form of everything. Whereas somebody who's not pure might have inherited this structure, this skeleton of this ISKCON, but it wasn't used properly, obviously, because 90% of the devotees left. He's got brothers, got sisters left. So I learned then that it's so important, including understanding Srila Prabhupada, because there are contradictions in his writings. At times he would say we follow from Vaikuntha, at times he would say we didn't. And so it's the pure devotee that we should find always to hear Bhagavatam from, and to understand our predecessor, in this case of Srila Prabhupada, the predecessor to, in the case, like one of his disciples, in the case like Sri Narayan Maharaj, who taught us from Prabhupada's books. Look what Prabhupada is saying. Look what is, because in Krishna book we find, Prabhupada mentions that Vasudeva and Devaki are the parents of Krishna. Nanda Baba is the foster. Nanda Baba and Yashoda Maya are the foster parents. And if we then go on to the next, if we see Prabhupada in the wide range of all his literature, we come to the conclusion, which is Chaitanya Charitamrita, where it's very clear, where he says, no, Krishna is the son of Nanda Maharaj. So it is a difficult thing, but that was, we always need guidance, the Anugatya. We always have to find guidance from higher devotees, like that. When I thought, when we were, I thought, when I was successful, and one tends to think, oh yeah, I have now the formula, to make money, but any businessman could tell you that you can apply the same formula and you get, variety of results, yeah, and so it helps you then depend if you discriminate. It helps you understand that actually Krishna is ultimately the one that, through his will maintain us and will protect us. But it's all gradations of faith, isn't it? Like Srivas Thakur, nobody who could have that type of shraddha, that type of faith. That all his business was, he didn't care about the material world. No business for him. Yeah, he's no other than Narada Muni.
Try living in an apartment building and going clap when the landlord comes to get his pay.
Right. So there was no one more practical than Srila Prabhupada. So yeah, there were, like, look, he left us one point. Gurudas was talking, and I told him, Gurudas, you should find out too. He's preaching in ISKCON, his thing, that how important it is, to take care of the devotees, disciples, God brothers, God sisters, even more so than, taking care of cows, which I agree. I said, but look, even Prabhupada was so practical, he left $1.5 million in the 70s to compound itself. Imagine if that money would be now, in order to have the senior, to have his disciples, taken care of in old age, to come to Vrindavan. That was all planned by Srila Prabhupada. But Tamal took the money, or, the money.
We don't know if it was Tamal.
Well, I know it was.
Oh, it was Tamal.
Yeah, the temple president showed me things. But anyhow, I told that to Gurudas. So, it was spoken now before how Prabhupada was, not very happy. But yeah, under all circumstances, we have to be practical. We have to surrender.
Guru Das started his slideshow half
hour ago.
Oh,
so maybe we should go.
Let's go to a slideshow.
I have the, in your
yeah, we can
is the
number.
Thank you so much. I just wanted to say one thing before we hang up.
Yeah.
When I hear all the people in this Zoom meeting reading the words of Srila Prabhupada and the other people in our line, acharyas in our line, when I hear them reading, it adds a dimension to it, that a layer of like love to hearing Srila Prabhupada and Sridhar Maharaj and Narayan and Vishwanath Chakravarti, to their words. It adds a deeper meaning to them. And so I really want to thank everyone in this group.
In particular to Gaura.
Yes, and thank you, Gaura, for making the group. Okay, we should go get to Gurudas'.
My obeisances to everyone. Vanchakalpa, Trubhischa, Kripasin, Evacha, Patitanang, Pamibyo, Vaishnavibyo, Namaha, Srila Prabhupada ki, Jai Nitai Gaur Premanand. Hari Bol. Thanks, Jivan Mukta, for coming in.
Hare Krishna. Thank you,
Thank you for your
all
speech.
I
saw you on YouTube.
We were missing you for months with your pneumonia. I'm glad you got.
Sorry, yeah, I just, what I've got, as you know, there's a lot of balls I'm juggling, right?
I can't even understand how you're here with 6 businesses going on. I can't even understand how you make it.
Yeah. Well, I try my best, but sometimes I can't make it. I apologize.
I get it. Okay, so yeah, next week we'll do more interviews. All right, we'll talk to you soon.
Hare Krishna. Haribo.
Hare Krishna. Jai Prabhupada.
Haribo, Haribo.
Haribo, Haribo.
K108. You got it? You got the link?
Yes.
Yes, we do.
Okay.